Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is thegameblot, and this is a Let's Look at Aven Colony. Let's Look's where I play a game for roughly about a week, and then I'll just, jump in, make a video about it, and tell you guys what I think, basically. So I'm going to start off with a general overview of the game and all of its systems, and then we'll jump into my first thoughts and impressions. Your menus are fairly standard. You've got your graphics menu, full screen borders, full screen window mode, of your resolution options, VSync, all there. All your little different options for graphics qualities. Music starts at 75%, not 100, so you're not going to get completely deafened. Your ears won't bleed when you start the game off. I do have it lowered, however, because it still is quite loud even at that. All of some of your game options here as well. Razer Chroma is because I actually have this loaded up on another laptop where I'm actually using a Razer. Lovely mouse. But we'll get into that another time. Key bindings all here. They can all be rebound as well. So that's that. And of course, if you are wanting to play this in another language, if English is not your primary speech, you can change it to all of these. Spanish, Dutch, French, Italian, and Russian, and I think Korean? I don't know. Let me know what that is down in the comments below. But yes, those are all your options. Pretty good. And if you want it on the PlayStation 4, it is also available for that as well, as I discovered the other day. Rather handy to know. Music is amazing. We'll get to those alerts in a second. Alright, starting off, you are a colonist, or the governor of a colony that has landed on a planet called Aven Prime. You get various different scenarios that affect the way that you build your colonies. The one I have in front of me right now is a sort of a tundra kind of snow stuff, where initially you start off by relying on trade. There are others, obviously. There's a desert one where you got to make your way towards oases to get water and food generated, and then there's a sort of a lush green land where you can basically build food anywhere, but you're limited by the amount of kind of forest, really. Alright, so I'm gonna run through the game as I play it, obviously. So down the bottom here, you've got all your sort of option stuff. Starting over here, these are all your buildings. So your tunnels are what connects all of the buildings of the colony together. Your residential structures where your colonists live. Storage for food storage and various sort of food processing, I guess, buildings. As you can see, the tooltip there for the mill, and then tooltip there for the chemical plant. If you want to read those, you can. Alright, I have been playing this map for quite a while. It's like the 3rd or 4th mission. Ah, I see. So we'll leave the game paused for now. These are all of your sort of allow you to gather resources from outside your colony and pull them in. Immigration Center allows you for more colonists. Trade Hub allows you to pull in other resources that you may not have access to, and that is so those are not upgradable. And all the buildings, obviously, they all have upgrades. We'll get to that in a second. Lastly, Expedition Center brings you out to another screen, and that will allow you to explore basically the rest of the planet outside of your colony. Allow you to do various missions like gather more supplies, rescue people. You can interact with other sort of factions, I guess you could call them, bandits and that kind of stuff. Here's all your power generation facilities. You start off with fairly basic ones, wind turbines. Solar panels, your next tier, fairly upgradable. Geothermal is the second best, I guess you could say. Upgradable once to a tier 2. It's a pretty decent amount of power generation for early game stuff, but you are going to want to upgrade to the last one. Energy batteries for storage, and then the last one here is the Zorium generator. Is a mineable material which you'll then use to generate a crap ton of power. Drones, you've got your construction drones used for building everything in your colony. Scrubber drones is what we need actually to deal with infections, and then police drones keeps law and order within your colony. Defense buildings, lightning towers protects your base, basically your colony, from lightning strikes. Every time the lightning tower is struck, it will then has a chance to, I guess, add power. And then plasma turrets for the general protection of your base from the nasties. These are that little thing there, spores. Food generation, very, very important. In a tundra world, you're going to start off with trade, but then you'll eventually be able to make your way to sort of green areas, gaps in the permafrost where you'll be able to plant down farms and greenhouses. These guys are they're all affected by various things. So your basic farms are affected by the weather, wind, that kind of stuff, and they do get like lesser output in winter. Geothermals, lesser output in winter, but not to the same degree as a standard farm. They do require a little bit more power, a little bit more nanites to build, more workers, but they are more efficient. And they are immune to certain things as well, which makes them really, really good for food generation. Mining and processing, these are minerals. You'll turn most of your ores and stuff into nanites to help you build more buildings. So you got two different kinds. You got your laser mines and your standard mines. The mines extract everything, but they are fairly slow. Laser mines extract everything faster, but at a cost. They destroy some of your minerals. Water, obviously very important for human life. So you get two tiers of water pumps. Obviously one is more efficient than the other one. Upgradable. Atmospheric condensers pulls water from the atmosphere, basically. It's less effective than the water pump, but it can also be, you can basically put it anywhere, whereas the water pumps you can only put really where there's a water source. On a frozen planet like this, near the geothermal vents is the best option. Air, again, breathable air, another very vital, important thing for your colony to sort of survive and thrive. Two different kinds here, intake fans and air filters. Air filters are invulnerable to toxic gas emissions coming from your geothermal vents when they explode. Intake fans, however, are incredibly vulnerable, and you're probably not going to want to build them at a later state or when you can afford the air filters. I usually always build the air filters primarily, and haven't really built an intake fan since. Technology structures, these are very important for certain missions. Research centers obviously will allow you to research various food types, food groups, as well as, so like it says there, allows you to research the conversion of alien plant species into edible foods and enhancers. At tier 2 also supports the research of colony boosts and other exotic technologies. And then your artifact containment. I won't read that tooltip. If you want to read it, pause the video or just speed read very, very quickly. It's fairly self-explanatory, very straightforward as to what it does. Service-related structures, this keeps your colonists happy. Parks, retail centers, you know, food type stuff. So the enhancers before mentioned, dispensaries, and hospitals, keeping your colonists very, very healthy. Also clears out plague spores, infections on your colonists. And then finally, megastructures. These are incredibly expensive, both in power and nanite cost, but they increase morale. They do a whole bunch of other stuff, and also help sort of grow your colony, I guess. Don't think I've actually had to build those yet. No, I did get to build one of them, and then I was voted out, and we'll get to that in a second. Underneath all of the building structures is some information here. So electricity, very important. Your nanites, it shows you how much you have stored and how much you're making per day, I guess. Your population and its happiness. It also gives you a basic rundown of all of the different things that will affect said happiness. Your air quality overall. Again, another very important thing. Overall storage. You might have multiple different storage depots, but that is just, this here is your grand total. Total water, as well as how much is like made per day, as well as how much water you have per colonist. Ditto again with food, how much you have. It will show you the variety, the quality, how much food you have per colonist as well as what is making it per hour, how much is coming out, and how efficient it is. There's your day cycle. Days are really, really long. They'll have their own seasons, so that's very important to notice when you're doing things like farms and stuff like that. So you play pause button here, and you have a couple of different speeds, all the way up to, I think, 8 times speed, and then it drops. I'm going to pause that again because I don't want the infection to spread even further. Over here, overlay modes. This will show you your air quality. Arrows obviously is an increase in air quality. Red arrows means a decrease. You want more green than red. Goes without saying. Resources, so it'll show you things like your consumables, non-consumables, and unexploited resources. Housing, basically will show you whether it's full or empty, and its priority. General happiness. Happiness is classified as morale Low morale means that your colonists are more likely to leave than stay. Your drone coverage. Blue is your police, red is your scrubber drones, and green is the construction zones, or the area which they can reach, basically. So your structures, so to show you whether they can be upgraded. High integrity and low integrity is basically at which point, like, whether it's broken or not, I guess you could say. So we're building over here, the hospital is 1010% infected. So fairly low integrity. You're going to have to get the scrubber drones out there ASAP. Power, where the power is being used, where it's been disabled, and all the buildings that consume it, as well as all the buildings that provide it. Employment, obviously, you got a large number of buildings that require people and a low number of colonists. You're going to have 100% employment. It's going to be pretty good until you get to the point where you have a large number of colonists and not enough buildings. Food, this will show you where you can build your farms, where things will grow. So, most of the map here is red because it's cold. And then a little bit green over here. And then obviously the different food types as well will have a different level of availability. There you go, just like that. Water, again, will show you where the best available areas for you to gather water are on this map. Around the geothermal areas where the heat has sort of broken through the permafrost. The best place. Commute, areas with a red means it's got a fairly high commute penalty, and that affects the morale and the efficiency of the buildings as people travel to them. And then your crime. Anything with a shield over it means it is protected by the police drones. It means your building's going to be relatively safe. The bigger the shield is, the more protected it is. The littler the shield is means that obviously access is somewhat restricted and limited after a fashion. Your control panel basically goes into more details to what's down here. Your inventory will give you a more in-depth rundown of what you have and how much of it. Morale, I'll show you what you've got. Policies, very important to know. Drone auto repair, as soon as you get that done, always good to have. You can also turn on and off other bits and pieces. Keep in mind that some of these will affect morale, your colony's morale, their general happiness, essentially. We'll go into detail on your colonists as well, including their health and their own personal happiness. So we've got a couple of people here that aren't that happy, but they're fairly healthy, and you can find out what's wrong. And he goes, so he's not very happy. Why? He's got consumption. He's not very entertained, and crime in his area is, yeah, it's there. Better rundown on your building. Construction drone, enhancer dispensary, hospital as well, and a few other ones. I'll just show you all of that. Map settings, obviously the map that you're on, and the objectives, or how many mission objectives you've completed, how many referendums you've won, and then statistics. All the colourful bars. I don't really need to explain that to you. That's fairly straightforward. Trade, again, these are all the items that you're sending out and all the items that you are receiving in return for said items. I have 3 trade hubs. I'm sending out gold and pulling in rice and bread. I'm also exporting nanites and pulling in ration packs. So food for me on this map is fairly important, and I'm trading everything for food to make sure that my colony will survive. Can't access expeditions right now because I don't have an expedition hub. Can't build it because I don't have enough nanites. Nanites are probably one of the most important resources that you have, aside from obviously air, food, and water. Nanites, you require nanites to build and upgrade everything. The upgrade tab in your building is the one here with the little arrows that you probably saw earlier. Don't have enough to do that right now. Each of the buildings will have a similar layout to this. You can recycle it, implode it. Recycling obviously will give you a set limit of nanites back. Fairly handy to have if you're kind of short, you don't really need the building. Like this one here. Tunnel doesn't go anywhere. It's fairly useless to me, so I'm going to recycle it. And eventually a construction drone will get out of there and deconstruct it. After a point. Right, at this point I need scrubber drones, so I actually need to let the game run. Space is not pause. I'm using the numbers above the QWERTY keyboard. Space actually brings up the tunnel builder. It's one of the shortcuts. So WASD to move around. And I do need to get a... Okay, so toxic emissions, that's coming out there. That's fine. I actually need to get myself a scrubber drone down ASAP. And I'm going to increase the build priority on that. We got low food, 7 point per colonist. It's all right so far. I've actually played this for a little bit more than a week. It took me a while to sort of get on the go. There's another video explaining as to why that was. Let's increase the speed. See if we can't get some stuff going here. But it's a fantastic game, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's very pretty, beautiful aesthetic. I'm actually going to upgrade that, and it's going to give us more than one scrubber drone, so we'll probably put 2 on that building. Yep, there it is. And they'll get that underway. The other place we've got infected here is, I believe, all clear. Yes. Creep spores from over there detected. I'm going to need to put down some more defense. I do not have 22 nanites. Alright, so that's going to come in at about here. To build more than one building, shift is the button that you will need to be able to build more than one. Otherwise, it will just build one, and then you have to go back to the menu, click on the building icon again, and place down another one. That gun turret will take down both of them, I hope. Yes, took down both of them. Nice. Sometimes they'll only come from one end. Sometimes they'll come from more than one. On this map, they've come from 3 thus far. You get these cargo pods, which you'll be able to pick up when there are drones in range. There's no drones in range of that one. Resources, that little red one here, that's iron. You also get other ones like gold, potash, and of course the aforementioned zorium. I am mining some zorium for my zorium generator here, which is at a high... I don't have enough to upgrade that just yet. Poor air quality is over here. Right, and why is that? I'm going to go to our air overlay here. Alright, so to fix that, I'm actually going to put down another air filter. Or alternatively, I could just upgrade this one. That should give me enough of one. Why are you... Ah, low happiness. Right, we'll get to that in a second. Alright, so we've got a couple more spores. Should be taken care of. I'm just going to put down another one there. That should be within range of that. Habitat. I'm actually going to upgrade that, give you a bit more room to work. Immigrants have docked. Air quality is poor, so still that one. Low air quality over there as well. Alright, gotta wait on those nanites. Game is currently paused. The other thing that happens, obviously there are a couple more environmental factors. On desert ones you get like sandworm kind of stuff, more like the movie Dune. They'll appear out of the ground in the holes. The turrets will shoot them until they either disappear back into the ground or the worms die. Another thing that happens is these spores fall from the sky, or like crystal clusters, and they'll obviously deal with as many of them as they possibly can while they are falling. Again. Worker happiness. Why are you unhappy? Because crime is apparently a big issue over here. Entertainment and food. Fair enough. Let's see if we can't fix that just a little bit. I'm going to put down a bar and grill. 2 workers protesting, 3 unhappy. So crime is a fairly big issue here. Air quality, fairly low. Entertainment and food, pretty low as well. And I think a hospital, sooner rather than later, is definitely going to be a more, I guess, pretty good alternative. I will do a Let's Play on this soon. And I'll start from the beginning. Insufficient power. Alright. You're upgraded, and you're upgraded, so why are we losing power? Because reasons. Right, I'm actually going to put down another geothermal generator first. Nanite-wise, I don't believe we're doing so well. Not functioning because you don't have any power. Right. Low food variety as well. I've got a couple of these guys as... Yep, and this is the other one that happens. Referendums. You will lose the game if you get voted out of office. It is worth mentioning that. Right, you guys don't have any... Okay, no power is the big problem. And average happiness has just gone down the toilet. Alright. Now, I believe that is where I am going to call this. Died from starvation. All the deaths from starvation. That's... And we've literally got no food. Alright. So, I think on that note, that is horrifying, and that is where we're going to end this video. My name's thegameblot, and that's all we've got time for today. Hopefully, during our Let's Play, we'll do a little bit better. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.